Today on the show, we're going to break down the WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view card, match card, top to bottom. It's going to be a fun time. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Assemble. If you are joining us live on YouTube, youtube.com/Assemble Show. I almost messed that up, didn't I? Or if you're on podcast and that's how you're listening to this, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here and your listening pleasure for your ears and all of that. If you are live with us, or if you're watching this after the fact, talking to the awesome chat in here, thank you all for joining us. If you are here live, it means a lot. And we are having the conversation around, WWE 2K22. We're talking the ratings. We're also talking the fact that Matt mildly resembles LA Knight, and he better be in the video game because I'm going to make LA Knight champion of everything. It's probably I don't see it any other way. I say this because I get comments in the YouTube chat once a week now. And it started off once a month where somebody would say, hey, this guy mildly resembles LA Knight. I know. Very, very mildly. I get it. But it's fun. I'm glad we're having a good time. You know what might be a good time? Segue. WWE Elimination Chamber live this Saturday, February 19th, 12 p.m. Eastern. So I get to watch it at lunchtime with the kiddos. That's going to be a fun time. 9 a.m. PT. So either way, get a coffee, sit down, and watch some wrestling with us. And let's see how this goes. The pay-per-view card kicks off like this. We got a lot of matches on this thing. And some, you got to be honest, I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of interested to see how these will go, how these will turn out. Some of them, I have a safe assumption of how these things are going to turn out, and I don't think that they're going to shock me and surprise me. But the first match that let's talk about here that was recently added, Rey Mysterio versus The Miz. This is not a match that I need right now. This feels like a Saudi Arabia filler match, if I've ever seen one. The Miz just got finished with the tag team match. He took taking on Edge there, and the Glamazon, and he had Maurice in his corner, the tag corner, his tag team partner, Maurice, which is actually a lot of fun. I could have had that tag team match at WrestleMania. Maybe we'll get Cody and Brandy. Maybe, maybe not. But this one in Saudi Arabia for the Elimination Chamber, Miz versus Rey, that is thrown together. This does not mean anything to me. It's just like, it's like they ran into each other in the backstage in the locker room and just said, it's like a 2K match. We were just like, they bumped each other in catering, said, we should go at it. This one, I feel like is probably going to like open the show or kick things off as an opener. This is not going to surprise me one at all. I don't even think they're going to extend this feud because I think for both Rey and The Miz, they're going to want to do something different at WrestleMania. This one, again, very much feels like a filler. The obvious answer here is Rey. I think Rey is the obvious answer. Here's what Matt's doing, though. I'm going the other way. I don't even care for The Miz that much. But you know what? He's come off a string of losses from Edge. I think you need to give him something. Now, is Maurice going to be at the Chamber? I shouldn't do that. That's offensive to Maurice. But is Maurice going to be in the corner? If she is, Dom's out there. There's going to be shenanigans. Maybe Rey gets all distracted. Maybe Dom slips up. Banana peel. Does something not so good. I'm actually going to say The Miz is going over in this match. Rey Mysterio versus The Miz. I'm picking The Miz. Give The Miz a win. Let's see what happens. Falls Count Anywhere match. Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. Happy Corbin more than likely interferes and is in the corner. I hope this ends. I feel like Drew is just waiting in the wings for the new year, for post-WrestleMania, to really start off a feud that he can sink his teeth into, that he can do something like fight Roman again, maybe put some muscle behind the Intercontinental title scene that is completely just dead in the water, does nothing. Drew, this Madcap Moss, this Happy Corbin feud thing he's going on with the sword, and he keeps threatening to cut people off with his sword, not with his car, but with his sword in the ring. It's a little much. I cannot stand Madcap Moss and Corbin. I think they're talented performers. Madcap Moss is a talented performer. but this feud means nothing. It means nothing to me. And it's falls count anywhere, which just means that Happy Corbin is going to interfere. But at the end of the day, and you're doing Chamber in Saudi Arabia, it's going to be a lot of feel good, I think. Drew is big popular face, so I'm going to say that Drew McIntyre is going to win this one. He's going to figure out a way to beat these two heels, and hopefully this will just completely end this nothing of a feud, because it doesn't have any stakes, and I feel like they got to do something to start heating Drew up again if they want to do anything when it comes to WrestleMania. SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. The Usos versus the Viking Raiders. Now, you guys let me know, what do you have for this one? I do not see the Viking Raiders doing anything in this. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the Usos have been beating the individual Raiders on TV week after week. I don't see this anything else other than the Usos winning, retaining those titles. Can't be. Bloodline for life. Like, the Bloodline is winning this stuff here, and they've got to be strong going through to WrestleMania. And if they want to do something like fight the New Day, a reformed New Day, and by the way, didn't Vince say recently, there are reports anyways going out that Vince is not enthused with calling them the New Day? So it's like Big E and Kofi Kingston are being introduced. That's a whole thing. That's a weird thing that they're doing, or at least Vince is on a whim about. But these SmackDown Tag Team Championships, tag division in general, guys, it's got to get better. It's got to get heated up. We need more. We need some more going into this thing. More stakes, more teams that are being pulled up to the top. And I don't think we're going to get that here with the Viking Raiders. The Usos are going to win, in my opinion, and I think that they're going to win pretty easily and pretty clean. Big match coming up next. One that I am interested to see how they would actually pull this thing off and make everyone, kind of looking strong going into WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair and one of the GMs in WWE 2K22 GM mode, Sonya Deville. Let's start here. Naomi and Sonya, this feud has been kind of going up and down. It's had its ebbs and flows where it's been strong, great stories. They've teased stuff in the ring. They've had, quote, matches. There's interference, shenanigans. She's brought in Shayna Baszler as the muscle. Then that just disappeared, which I was bummed about because Shayna's awesome. I'm glad they kind of got back on track with this storyline. It's helping Naomi a ton because she's a phenomenal performer, and I want to see her at WrestleMania doing something more. Personally, I wish she was in the SmackDown Women's title scene, beating Sonya to get there, or do something like they had done in years past, where her and Sonya Deville, Naomi and Sonya Deville, have a one-on-one match night 1 of WrestleMania. And then maybe night 2, if she wins that, maybe then Naomi moves on to face and get into the triple threat, like a Daniel Bryan, and we had in years past. I just really like how they've used Naomi, how she's progressing. She's over with the crowd. And Sonya Deville has been doing great character work, and I really just enjoy her on TV. I'm really interested to see what they will do with the storyline, and can they stretch it to WrestleMania? And is that the plan? The main thing that they want to be able to highlight here is going to be Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. More so Ronda Rousey. Now, if you guys watched the show or listened to the show on the podcast last week, I did a full in-depth piece that was like 10 plus minutes, really just talking about Ronda Rousey's return. I am not into it. It feels like whatever. The segments are not working for me. The only thing that has helped in the last week, and we're going to see there's been footage that's come out for SmackDown. By the time you're watching or listening to this, we would have gone through SmackDown with contract signing there for Charlotte, Rousey, and for the match. And even that, I'm pretty sure that they kind of flubbed, so they've had to do some retakes. The previous week, though, when Ronda came down and helped out Naomi to set up the match, I did like that they limited Ronda Rousey and how much she was in the ring, and that it's not putting her on the mic for 10 minutes to just wave it to the side of her arm and just talk and just kind of meh, whatever to the crowd. I'm glad that they put her in more of a dominant position. She comes out, music hits, big pop from the crowd. She comes in there, does an armbar, flips somebody around, and boom, it's over, and get her out of there. I have a feeling that if the reports are true that Ronda Rousey's kind of rubbed things the wrong way and is a little bit disinterested and not really into how the crowd has been not cheering for her, and that was supposed to be the plan, you run the risk at WrestleMania if this is just going to stay as a straight up one-on-one match between Ronda and Charlotte. If it stays that way, I think you run the risk of this crowd going completely flat for a potential main event. Because people are going to go meh for Ronda. They'll end up wooing and probably cheering for Charlotte, which is not something that they really want to do. And even Charlotte might even play into it and be getting herself over in the Mania match. This one, though, again, you're in Saudi Arabia, which is a tendency to try to make it big like a WrestleMania type of card. And they're doing that. There's a lot going on in this card. I do think that at the end of it, you're probably going to get Ronda Rousey and Naomi winning the match, but I think afterwards you're going to get some shenanigans with Charlotte and Sonya playing her GM card and trying to do something to screw over Naomi. Something needs to happen here, but you want Ronda going strong into WrestleMania, maybe getting the win, actually getting the 3 count on Charlotte so that she can go into WrestleMania, making everybody think, well, I pinned you at Elimination Chamber in the tag match. I can pin you again and I can beat you or make her tap out. If they want to protect kind of everybody in this match, in this scenario, and you're still going to get Ronda to go over, I think you end up with Ronda Rousey tapping out Sonya Deville because then it's not their direct opponents. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to say that Ronda and Naomi are going over in this, though, regardless of how they're actually going to do it. Raw Women's Championship match, everybody. Becky Lynch versus Leta, and I am in. I love the story that they are telling between Becky and Leta. I like the vignettes of Leta getting back into the ring, that she is working her way back up to get in ring shape, that Becky is the heel in this, but she is conflicted a little bit, right? Because she's having to actually fight against one of her heroes that she grew up watching. And she's having to feel like she is in this position where she needs to take out somebody she looked up to. Like she's got to put them out behind and take her out behind the barn. Not in a dirty way. But that she's got to end this person that she admired so much, and she's got to finish her off. Again, this is taken the wrong way and out of context, but you know what I mean. Becky Lynch versus Leta, I think, is going to be a great, great match. The question I have is Leta going into WrestleMania? You got to figure she's going to be in some Mania program. It's not going to be with Becky. This could easily be a WrestleMania match if they had the time and they were able to do this. This is for the championship. And I don't think you're going to drop Becky's title. I think it's going to be a scenario where Leta is putting up a tremendous fight and doing everything and coming up short, but like, there are moments in the match where Leta had it won. Leta would have won, but maybe it's a grab of the ropes, foot under the ropes, something that Becky has done to wiggle her way out of it. But it should be left with fans and Becky feeling like, I got beat. But at the very end of it all, Becky Lynch still wins. And that's my prediction, is Becky is going to win this thing, retain the title. Leta, I don't know what you do with Leta, though, after this, because I think she's going to put on a hell of a match, hell of a performance and comeback. I want her to be like Edge, where she's coming in and she works for a few months out of the year, setting up for big programs, because she's a big name from Attitude Era and the 2000s that you want to be able to leverage. She has a lot of star power and cachet still left. Do you put her with Beth Phoenix in Women's Legends tag team match or something like that at WrestleMania, where the two of them go against maybe the rumored Bellas, and the Bellas returning? I'm not sure, but you got to do something with Leta, and you want to put her in a prominent role. This is great, but I want to know what they're going to do next. And if Becky goes over, that is really going to be telling, because depending on where they place this thing on the card, It's going to set up into the Women's Elimination Chamber match, which is the number 1 contendership match, everybody. Alexa Bliss returning to the ring, announced on Raw, versus Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Doudrop, and Nikki ASH. This one seems obvious, but I just don't know with WWE. To me, the obvious answer, the obvious choice is Bianca Belair. To keep giving Bianca good wins since coming over to Raw. She has had the story with Becky. It is there. They still need to finish this story off. I think that they do want to give Bianca that big win at a full Dallas Stadium, WrestleMania, pinning Becky Lynch to get that win back that she lost when she lost the title in a matter of seconds. That story is sitting there and they're ready to go. But you have other elements in there. For a huge fan base, people really would love to see Liv Morgan be winning this thing to get into the number 1 spot. But I don't think Liv is there, and I think they brought her up, they used her effectively, and they rolled her back down. Alexa Bliss returning is huge, but I think you're going to want to use Bliss in a different role going into WrestleMania. Maybe you get Bliss versus Leta. Maybe you get Bliss versus Beth Phoenix. Bliss and somebody else teaming up. I don't know. To take on the Legends. I'm just spitballing. But I think you could do something else with Alexa Bliss. Her return is going to be big. People are going to want to see what her character is like. They're going to want to see how she is in the ring because it's been so long. How does she act? Like, just, again, all of that I'm curious about Alexa Bliss's performance. What's the ring music? What's her entrance like? There's a lot in there that I want to know. Doudrop, I think, is going to play really well. Nikki ASH, I'm afraid, is just not clicking anymore. And Rhea Ripley, oh man, her performance on Raw, phenomenal. That's one of those moments. I love me a good gauntlet match. I love a gauntlet match. Whenever you do these types of tournaments, gauntlet matches, anything like that, beat the clock challenges, those are great. You get moments like Kofi Kingston and moments where you can almost force WWE to look at this other star and be like, this is somebody that the fans really want, and it clicks, and they change some plans, and boom, they go with that person. I don't think they're going to do that here with Rhea. I can see Rhea being entered in at like number 1 in the chamber and going a long, long, long time and then getting eliminated. Keep her very, very strong throughout so that she can do something really cool at WrestleMania. Everyone, including like Charlotte Flair, talks really highly of Rhea Ripley. At the end of the day, I think it's still going to boil down to, it would be for me, Alexa Bliss or Bianca Belair, and the main story that they have ready to go in there is Bianca. So I think at the end of it all, guys, I'm going to go with Bianca Belair is going to win the Elimination Chamber match to take on Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. The next chamber match on the men's side, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Austin Theory, Riddle, AJ Styles, and Seth frickin' Rollins going at it. This should be an awesome chamber match. WWE Champion Bobby Lashley going in there. And the big story in this entire match is Brock Lesnar. Now, the championship match, the Universal Championship match, is next. But this chamber match, there's some question marks, aren't there? Do you have Brock win and do the most obvious thing? Brock winning the chamber, coming into the chamber last, and F5ing a bunch of the guys, dominating Riddle, AJ Styles, Rollins, Lashley, all these guys, Austin, just having a dominant moment. Lesnar wins. He grabs that title back, and he is going to WrestleMania to take on Roman Reigns, title for title, unification match, double champion, all of that stuff. The most obvious thing is usually the way the WWE will do this. This is the story that they have been telling this whole time between Brock and Roman. Has it been perfect? No, by no means has it been. Have I enjoyed it? Yeah, I've enjoyed the ride, and I have enjoyed Brock's face run, and I've enjoyed Roman Reigns. And I think the goal is to get to that WrestleMania match where they can kind of correct course and truly solidify Roman as your undisputed universal champion for both. The other thing is that you We know that you don't have Brock there all the time. Granted, he has been there a ton for this run, and I really do appreciate that. Coming on TV every week, no, Brock does not have matches, but he's been in some entertaining segments. The cowboy look is really cool. But I think that what you want to look at long term is if you have Roman as double champ, he can float between both programs on Fox and USA Network and make those investors and those networks very happy by having the champion of champions on both shows and taking up TV time, especially on Raw when you have 3 hours to do a 20-minute Roman segment. 10 minutes is him walking out, and you could do something like that every week by having him out there, the Usos out there, mixing it up on both brands. So I think the obvious answer and my pick, ultimately, I think yes, I think Brock Lesnar is going to win this thing one way or another. But the thing that really stands out to me is what's going on with everybody else. We got the Brock, we got the Roman match, we can figure that one out. That seems like a given for WWE. But you're taking the title off Bobby Lashley. You have Austin Theory in the wings, who's been working with Vince McMahon for creepy reasons. Riddle and Orton, the tag team matches they've been having. Oh, it's been awesome, and I want to see more of that. AJ doesn't have a match at Mania. He's been floating around since he's broken off with Omos. And Seth Rollins arguably should win the match and win the title so that he can go on to WrestleMania and have an incredible match with an AJ Styles or Edge and redo that, or a multi-man match, or Kevin Owens, who isn't even in the chamber. And pretty much guess why, is because Owens doesn't go to Saudi Arabia. I am more curious with this chamber match, and I'd be watching very closely because I want to see what everybody else is doing after the chamber. I want Lashley to be that other big powerhouse dominant champion on the other brand. And I think you're ultimately going to end up with a double champion Roman Reigns. It's everybody else that doesn't have a lot to work with. AJ and Edge has been rumored for WrestleMania, and we will have a WrestleMania predictions episode, obviously. But if you had like Bobby Lashley retain, you can easily set up a multi-man fatal four-way match for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. A lot of people get time. You have storylines already built in there for months on end, and I would love something like that. But I don't think that's the road they're going down. But again, what's Riddle and Orton going to do? Tag team match? Maybe, and it will be very, very entertaining. AJ, is he going to be fighting Edge? Rollins, what is he going to do? Is he just going to default and have a match with Kevin Owens? Or is Kevin Owens now too busy because he may be in a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is a crazy thing to think about. There's a lot there that they can work with, which is great, but it's will they execute it with weeks to go before WrestleMania? And that leads us to the Universal Championship match of Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. Roman Reigns wins the end. No, come on. We got to give it more than that. No, I went as fast as how fast the match was going to be between him and Goldberg. I'm not a fan. I'll be honest right now. I'm not a fan of this only because it's a Goldberg match. And we've had these Goldberg matches. And we've seen what Goldberg brings to the table. We've seen what he brings to the table in Saudi Arabia, where he hits his head on the table and concusses himself, and then he barely makes it out alive, and Taker almost gets paralyzed. We've seen these matches. Now we've seen decent ones with Goldberg. I think the last one that he had with Bobby Lashley was entertaining. But I have a feeling that what Roman and Goldberg are going to try to do here, if they're smart, if WWE and if Goldberg allows these things, you had Goldberg win a long time in WCW. I think you're going to want Roman Reigns to spear Goldberg many a times. Like 6. So it doesn't feel like Goldberg doesn't feel like he just got dominated. You're going to have a spear through the barricade. You're going to have maybe they're going to do it like a Goldberg-Brock match where the bell ring and you have Goldberg spear Brock in the past, remember? And everyone got shocked because they're like, oh my God, it's going to happen. You want those things where it's like all this urgency within and I'm talking 2 minutes in a main event. 8 minutes, I think is tops. And I think that's a stretch. I think we're looking at 6 minutes. You want Roman to come out of this thing dominant, not hurt. Goldberg, maybe he's going to be at WrestleMania, maybe he's not. But people don't really need the match either. So I really think that Roman's going to come out strong in this thing. And if we're going to be lucky and fingers crossed, we get a serviceable performance from Mr. Goldberg. But I'm not looking for anything big here. In fact, I know that WWE is probably going to put the Universal Championship on last because it's Roman and Goldberg. And that'll be a big, big theatric thing in the entrance in Saudi Arabia. But I would have put the men's Elimination Chamber match on last. That has more stakes in my opinion. Now, the only other thing you could do if you put Roman on last with Goldberg, and it ends with Roman winning, because that's basically a slam dunk. Having that, you want the fans to go home happy in Saudi Arabia, to be something huge. I think Goldberg loses, he rolls out of the ring, he's done, and then Brock's music hits, assuming Brock wins the chamber with the title, and you get both those guys standing in the middle of the ring, and you do the stare down, and they're both holding their respective titles, and then it goes off the air. And I think that is how you're going to end the Elimination Chamber. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our predictions here on Assemble. If you can do me a favor, let me know your predictions. Who's going over? Who do you have? And then also, if you enjoy the show here, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on youtube.com/Assemble Show for all our predictions and wrap-ups and reviews and WWE 2K coverage. And I will see you on the next one.